evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Welcome to Aderans UK Live, and you're with myself, Jane Kelly, and with Bradley this evening.
Hello.
Hi, and we're talking all about men tonight, Bradley.
We are talking all about men. We were just saying it would have been really good to open the show with "It's Raining Men" rather than our usual theme tune. And then maybe some dancers, Jane threw in, just for good measure.
Just a good measure.
Different type of show, I think, right there, but never mind. But we're talking all about men's tonight, which is always an exciting topic because it feels like it's fairly new to us, even though it's not. It's actually really deeply rooted in us as a brand.
Well, as a company, yeah. When we're Aderans now, but when we first opened our doors as Trenco, then it was just men's hair replacement. So we're talking back in 1965, it was all men's hair replacement.
Yeah.
Then the ladies came through, and the ladies went into the forefront, and we were still bubbling away with the men. And then you had that time, and you'll probably remember David Beckham when he just decided shave it all off. And I think every man on the planet thought, that's okay, my hair's getting a bit thin, I can just buzz it all off.
He is a trendsetter, though, isn't he? What he does, I think the men tend to follow.
They do tend to follow.
With any luck, he'll have a hairpiece.
Yes.
Make it cool for everybody.
Yeah, he will do, actually. We should get him as an ambassador
Would be
for
great.
us.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, he's quite a nice guy, really.
So
everybody kind of just followed him doing that. And as with everything, it's fashion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Young men nowadays, they want to be seen with hair again. So if you've got that young man, and there's lots of you out there who are beginning to go thin, you're beginning to lose your hair, you've probably got different anxieties about your hair loss, or you'll think you're actually losing your hair, it's running in your family, it's genetic. It's the time to actually start is when you're young, rather than leaving it till you actually are that much older, Bradley.
Yeah.
So it's getting those people really to come in and actually talk to us and actually talk to our members of staff, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think young men, we care a lot more now than perhaps we may have done in other generations about our image and how we look and come across. And I think there's so much based on how you look, because you think just down to being young and dating and meeting people, it's all done through the internet.
Yeah.
And how you meet people is done through a photograph of yourself, and everyone has to judge you off of that. So it's hard, people have to really think a bit more about these kind of things.
And I suppose really those photographs, and if you're doing all this dating on the internet, they can all be doctored.
They can.
They can all be changed. So that person who you actually then get to meet in real life might not be quite the person you thought they were going to be.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, an insecurity is an insecurity.
Yeah.
If something makes you not feel very good, then absolutely, why not look to change it?
And I think, when you talk to men, you talk to young men or men of any age, if they're going through a hair loss problem, it might be just thinning ever so slightly. They might have lost a lot of hair. By giving them that hair back, it gives them all that confidence.
So much confidence.
Yeah, and you can see it. It really takes years off somebody because you've really lifted them. They've got that confidence back to actually go back onto that dating scene if that's what they were missing, or to actually go for that promotion at work because they feel like they can really go for it, isn't it?
I think you can just see it on someone's face when they feel good about themselves again, and that's the change that you see.
Definitely.
When the hairpieces go on, or if somebody goes through a trichology program and they actually grow some of their own hair back again, or just manage to work with what they've got.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
We've got quite a few solutions available within the hair centre.
A lot of
not
solutions.
Not just down to hairpieces.
Yeah, there's lots of different things. We've got Aderans Hair Centres, and we've got our main one in Westbourne Grove in London, one here in Hove, where we're actually based, and also in Birmingham. So we're kind of spread with the Aderans Hair Centres.
Yeah.
And it's a one-stop shop, really.
Yeah.
It's somewhere where you can come. You can come for advice, and we'll sit, we'll listen, and we'll actually guide you to see the right person or for the right treatment that you actually need for whatever problem you actually have. It could be that you just think you've actually got kind of a bit of a scalp irritation. Your scalp doesn't feel very clean, it doesn't feel right, and you feel as if you're losing more hair than you should actually be losing. Again, you can pop in, see one of our trichologists, and they'll be able to put a scope onto the scalp. And that's when we just put a scope on, and it's got like a magnifier. It comes up onto the computer, and you can see everything going on your scalp. It's quite amazing. You've not had that done yet, have you?
Well, no, but I had a visit, didn't I, to see Emma in the Hove. I was very lucky. Really nice experience, by the way, as well. Lovely, lovely team. I've not really had a chance to spend any time with Emma, other than when we've spoken on here previously. Probably about a year ago now.
It would have been, I think.
Crazy to think, but that was really nice. I think it's really good because you can go into the hair centre with a concern, and there's not like a one-size-fits-all pattern. You know, no one's going to say to you, "Oh, you've come in for this, but you know, we're going to try and sell you this." Everybody has their own unique woes, if you will, and there's a different cocktail combination of treatments and products
for each person.
For each person. So for me, there's actually a video that we popped up maybe 2 weeks ago now of what it's like to have a consultation, because I know that can be a huge fear for anybody before going in.
I think that's just making that phone call is a big thing for a lot of people. It's that initial first step, make that phone call, make that appointment. And that can cause somebody to be quite anxious and quite worried about it. Or they might think that they're going to come in and they're going to be sold this complete program that they don't want, or something that they don't actually need. What we really do come across as with our trichologists and as a company, and for what we actually do with every solution for different types of hair loss, is to find that right solution for you, and to give you time to think about it as well. It's something you don't have to do immediately, but it's, you know what you can do, and then you can actually start that program or start your journey with hair replacement when you feel ready to actually do it, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think if you think of the hierarchy, I mean, the hair replacement with an actual piece is often the kind of latter resort, isn't it, in terms of the hair loss progress, you know, of the journey.
Yes, it can be. Yeah, I mean, some people, you might get a young guy coming in and he's losing his hair. He's maybe receding at the temple area, going thin on the crown. And if he's receding at that temple area, it's making him feel a kind of a lot older than he actually is, and looking a little bit older than he is. So somebody might decide that, right, I'm going straight into a hairpiece because I want to look as if I've still got a really good head of hair.
Yeah.
And they start that journey at a very young age, maybe early 20s, mid-20s, and they just progress through. As they progress through, though, and as their age gets older, as they age, then we would look at that hairpiece, and the hairpiece would become thinner and finer in density. So it looks as if that gentleman is beginning to lose his hair and thin, but it's done very, very naturally, because there's nothing worse, I think. And I think when you look at hair replacement on men, and I'm sure Bradley will agree, and probably a lot of our viewers would agree, when we're looking, and also for wigs for ladies, when you look at a wig or you look at a hairpiece, you only ever see the bad ones.
Yeah.
You could sit in a bar, you could be sat in a bar this evening watching us on your phone, and somebody could be sat right next door to you wearing a hairpiece, and you're not going to know.
No, exactly.
The good ones don't stand out, and you're not going to know anybody's actually wearing anything. And that's the crucial thing, is to get it so right for that person, with the colour, the texture, the cut, so they look themselves and you're not changing them drastically. And that's the thing. But they're not, hairpieces aren't for everybody either.
No, and I think, you know, it takes a while to perhaps get to that point. For some people who are still able to maintain and salvage a lot of the hair and perhaps stunt the hair loss.
Yes.
There's ways you can cover patches that you may be experiencing, or areas where you're beginning to thin, whilst you undergo treatment to try and revitalise your scalp. And then eventually maybe you do move into having a hairpiece.
And I think, again, if you come to us early enough, and I think this is what tonight is all about really, is if you're watching, maybe it might be your boyfriend, that you know he's got a bit of a hang up about his hair, and he's getting a bit thin, and he's spending an awful lot of time in front of the mirror, kind of, you know, getting it just right. And we all know people who actually do this. But if you actually start to look after the scalp early enough, think about your diet, think about what you're putting into your body, because everything you put in has to come out somewhere, and that's promoting like healthy scalp, healthy hair. And that's what we want to actually promote with everybody. Using those right products as well will actually help to stimulate that hair follicle if it is actually still active.
Well, we're actually going to jump into a call tonight with Elizabeth, who is our resident trichologist in London.
Yeah, she's lovely.
She is lovely. I think we've actually introduced you to her before, but we wanted to catch up with her and learn more about, you know, the process of hair loss for men, so that we can understand what you can do. I've certainly got some questions that I'm quite keen to ask tonight, and as a man, you know, it's something that I think we do have anxieties about, we do have hang-ups about, and it's important to understand.
I think all men do, and I think it's knowing that they can go somewhere where somebody is going to be able to listen to them and be sympathetic towards them as well, and not take it as a little bit of a joke or anything, and take them really seriously. Whether they, it might be they think they've got a hair loss issue, but actually it's not really. It's just normal amount of hair that they're losing. And excuse me, it's being able to reassure those people, isn't it? I think that they're doing the right thing, and to actually steer them in that right direction again.
Exactly.
Most important.
So I can see Elizabeth's actually waiting for us behind the scenes. So let's try and connect the call and jump into this with her now. Elizabeth, tell us about things that we can do to prevent hair loss for those of us that haven't currently experienced any, right the way through to those that are experiencing it.
I think the first thing we need to is kind of explain what it is and why it's happening. So for both male pattern baldness and female pattern baldness, it's caused by something called dihydrotestosterone, which is a hormone that attacks the hair follicle, and it prevents nutrients and oxygen getting to the follicle. So over time, the follicle miniaturizes, and in that miniaturization, it causes the hair that's being produced to be much finer and much shorter. So as the follicle gets smaller in size, the hair it produces also follows that pattern, to the point where it just doesn't produce hair anymore. And you've got to get, what we want to do is prevent getting to the point where it's not producing any hair anymore. If the follicle hasn't scarred over, there's always a potential for the hair to come back. If the scarring has been for a long time, so if you're an older man and you've been bald for many, many years, getting your hair back to where it was in your 20s is almost impossible. But what we can do is preserve what you've got and encourage what you've got to grow more efficiently. Whereas for a younger man, where it hasn't progressed that long, and the follicle is only going into miniaturization in the early stages, we can reverse it and we can prevent it, and also stop the other follicles around it being affected by the DHT. The whole thing is to kind of prevent this DHT from attaching itself to the receptors at the bottom of the follicle and preventing all the nutrients and things that are going in there. So how you do that, there are medications that you can get from the doctor, but some of those can have quite nasty side effects. And if you're a younger man, or even if you're slightly older and you're just seeing the beginnings of this miniaturization, so it's looking a bit thin, perhaps to the crown and the temple, or through the crown, that's kind of where it begins. You need to look at your diet. Like for everything in life, a healthy diet is key, and the hair is no different. And diet is really important for hair, because if you do have any deficiencies within your diet that the body is crying out for, the body's very good at saying, well, actually, what don't we need to feed? The hair. We don't need to feed the hair, but we do need to feed the brain, the heart, all the organs. So we'll cut off the hair. So not only have you got this DHT attacking the follicle and reducing the size of it, you've also got the body saying, well, actually, we're not even going to feed it. So what little nutrient is getting through won't get through.
Is there anything in your diet that you shouldn't eat? Is there anything that kind of is really bad for causing hair loss? Is there anything that can trigger that?
There's nothing specific that's ever been found that can actually trigger it. But if you have got a bad diet, then your body just isn't getting the nutrients it needs. And as I said earlier, if you're deficient in anything, your hair will suffer, because the body just won't feed the hair, because you know, if all of us lost our hair tomorrow, we could all live long and happy, healthy lives. We just would be bald. It's not essential for our well-being. Psychologically, that's a completely different story. But physically, to get about and live our lives, we don't need our hair. So if you've got a bad diet, potentially your hair will suffer, not because there's anything specifically that you're eating that's causing it, but you're not eating the right nutrients, and the body will just stop feeding your hair. Simple as that.
Male pattern baldness then, Elizabeth, if it runs in your family, is it purely is it unhelpable? Is it just going to happen? Is there anything you can do to slow that down and prevent it, aside from diet, involving trichology treatments, or is it just a case of, you know, it's genetic, that's it? Because I know from being a man myself, that seeing it in my family and hearing people talk about it in my family, it's very much just like, oh well, my dad lost his hair, so I have, and it just, people just accept it.
I mean, it is very much your genetics predisposed to this DHT. Some people it doesn't affect. It's all within us, and some people it doesn't affect, some people it does affect. But if you have got a family history like your dad or your uncles or whatever side of the family it's coming from, it's not that it's from your father's side, it could be from your mother's side, and it's a combination of the two. So you are going to be what's the word? I've just said it, I can't remember it. Predisposed is the word I'm looking for. To the follicle being affected by DHT. So the earlier you start to try and prevent this DHT from attaching itself to the follicle, then the better your chances are of keeping your hair for longer. So how do we do that? So again, we said we can do it with diet. We can also do it with topical solutions. So there's shampoos that have DHT inhibitors built within the shampoo, so that as you're washing your hair, you're eliminating a certain amount of the DHT that's in your scalp or on your scalp. And there are supplements that you can take, again, that will have naturally derived DHT inhibitors built in that. And again, that just kind of boosts up the defense that you've got for it. One of the fantastic, I can't rave about it enough, I'm always going on about it, treatments that we do is the low level light treatment. That really does rejuvenate the follicle. So the earlier that you start that and the longer you keep it going, the more benefit you'll see from it. So if we're doing any kind of program for that, for anybody, I really try and encourage them to do the low level light treatment, whether that be in house, coming to sit under the big laser in the clinic, or buying a unit that you can take home, the little bands that you can wear at home, which are just to be efficient.
And how often
Sorry, Jane.
How often would you have to do this treatment if you were coming into the in-salon treatment to have it done? Is that once a week, once a fortnight?
Again, it depends on the severity of your hair loss. And I always say that if someone's going to start a program, if they can get in twice a week for the first 12 weeks, it's really kind of hitting it hard to start with. Giving it a big boost. Yeah. That's a big ask, and not everyone's able to do that. So certainly when you start off once a week at least, doing it less often can still be beneficial, but because hair takes so long to react to anything, to see any benefit, you're just prolonging the ask of it looking better. Whereas in a 12-week program, if you're coming twice a week, under the scope within 12 weeks, we normally can see something that happening. And compliance is so key as well to dealing with male pattern baldness. These things that they have to do on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And if you're not seeing any results in 12 weeks, you're going to give up. And like all of us, well, it's not working, I can't be bothered. So again, it's monitoring it, coming in regularly and looking under the scope and seeing that what you're doing is working, even if you're not seeing it physically in the early stages, because it can take a year to 18 months before you kind of get the head of hair that you want. So there is a longevity to it.
I suppose when you're under that, if you're under that scope though, and after 12 weeks you can see something happening, that must give that client that huge boost to actually keep going with that treatment process.
And think, well, actually, this is working, and I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And as I say, it really varies, because the effects of DHT can start after puberty. So, and for some people that are very sensitive to DHT, they can be bald by the time they're like mid-early 20s. So a lot of young men at 25 will decide to shave their head because they've lost so much. Others, it can be much slower. It can start later in their 20s, 30s, and they don't kind of see the huge effects until they're in their 40s and their 50s. But with all men, if you've got a family history of it, starting any treatment, even if it is just using the DHT shampoo, perhaps taking a supplement if your diet's not spot on, is going to help prolong your hair before it starts to be affected by the DHT, and you see this miniaturization coming.
So in terms of shampoos and stuff then, I remember reading quite some time ago about sulfates and sulfides, the different compounds that were in shampoos traditionally that make them flame up and go really luxurious and all the bubbles, all the fun
which
part
you
of the
think
shampoo
is really good for you.
It's really bad for your hair.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
very. And it was causing people's hair to fall out faster in terms of them losing it than perhaps the shampoo that didn't have it in. So is that something you need to look out for in products that you use?
Yeah, definitely. For all sort of hair, for all shampoos, for all hair types, a lot of the sulfates that are included in them are really harsh, and they are purely for us to know that we're kind of washing our hair and we like to see all this lovely lava and think it's clean, but it's derived from the same sort of detergents that you use for your washing up liquid. That's kind of how harsh. They put lots of lovely, nice things in it to kind of counteract that. Coconut oils and nice smelling essential oils and all these sorts of things, but basically it is a detergent. So you do need to look at that and make sure that they're a kinder product. Obviously at Aderans we use the Mediceutical range, which are all free of all of those horrible things and DEAs and all the stuff that kind of can make the scalp sensitive, can make the scalp dry. And again, that's another big issue, because if you've got a very unhealthy scalp, it's not going to help the follicle pushing these hairs through. So it's kind of looking at what your routine for your scalp is, as well as just cleaning your hair. You kind of have to think of the scalp and the hair as two separate issues, and look at them slightly differently. If you've got a scalp problem, it might be that you're not using the right shampoo. You need a different shampoo, even though it might feel nice and clean. The ingredients in that shampoo might be aggravating the scalp condition. So, to have a healthy head of hair, you need a healthy scalp. And I think most people kind of disassociate the scalp with their skin. So you wouldn't kind of put harsh chemicals on your face to wash it, because it would feel horrible, but you'll happily rub that in your hair and be happy that it's clean, when actually you might be actually doing more harm than good.
I mean, I've definitely washed my hair with washing up liquid once, and that doesn't feel good.
No, not recommended.
It's not recommended. It's no fun. But I feel like everyone could benefit from having like the Trichology input, and just paying you a visit just to find out what you on a individual basis.
Yeah, definitely. And I think
it's not good, and
I like to kind of associate myself like a beautician for your scalp. So rather than just thinking, you go to the beautician, have a facial because your skin's a bit dull and all the rest of it, you can come and see a trichologist and have a treatment or a ritual that actually just is really invigorating for your scalp, just to make it feel nicer. Even if you haven't got a major issue with your scalp, it's just a really nice thing to have done. So it's like a facial for your head. It includes a lovely cleansing of the scalp, nice massages of the scalp. So all the same sorts of things that you would have done as a facial, but we're just doing it to your scalp instead. And afterwards, it just feels clean and fresh and alive.
It's almost like having an MOT done, isn't it?
When I see a lot of men in clinic, and they talk about the number of products that they've bought in the past, that they saw someone on I don't know, Instagram or YouTube or raving about, and they thought, yeah, we'll give that a go and we'll give that a go. And a lot of the stuff, it's just snake oil. There is no benefit to them. There's no papers written on it. And they're just some quack saying, yeah, use this on your head. And they're spending an awful lot of money on an awful lot of products that are just not doing any good. Whereas if they came and had a consultation, I could point them in the right direction of, one, what's going on, why it's going on, and how you're going to do it. And these are the products, not hundreds and hundreds of bottles of all sorts that are rubbish, but just a few that are tailored for you, that are going to help you with your issue.
Brilliant.
And and that's the answer.
But the solutions that we have, whilst there's a lot of combinations that you can make up in the hair centre, for the individual, they're all actually quite simple, aren't they? In the sense of the different things that are on offer, like the low-level light treatment, having a good diet, supplements, using these topical products on your head. It's just getting the right combination.
Yeah, it is. And I think until you get the roadmap of how to use products and to start the roadmap, you've got to know the destination. And without knowing the reason why you get your hair thinning, how can you possibly know which way to go with it? So I think by seeing a trichologist, identifying exactly what's going on, then you know what path you've got to follow to get to the end goal of a better head of hair.
So something then with men that's quite a common one is that 3-in-1, the face, body and hair wash.
Oh,
that's absolutely got to go in the bin anyway. I don't agree with that. It's not okay.
How can something that you're cleaning your feet with be good for your face and your head?
Exactly, it's not okay. It's never been okay.
It's never been okay for anybody.
No.
No.
Please, boys, put that in the bin tonight. And
a lot of men do that.
Separate.
And a lot of men do that for speed, don't they? But if they have a routine that's explained to them, they know exactly what they're doing. There's no time in it whatsoever. It's just like cleaning your teeth. Once you know how to do it, you do it quickly, don't you, and get it done. And it's just the same, you use this amount of water, you use this amount of product, you wash your hair, you rinse your hair, you put a bit of stimulator on. If it needs a bit of conditioning, this is where you condition your hair. Hair conditioner is for hair, not scalp. And it's just little tweaks that actually can speed up your routine, and you'll see the benefits for it without spending out. I think that's the trouble. People think I've got to spend hours doing all this ritual on my hair, and I haven't got time in the morning, I haven't got time at night.
I've got time.
Yeah, and actually it really doesn't. Once you know the routine and you see how quickly it can be done, and you build it into your routine, then you don't even think about it. It's not an effort anymore. And 12 weeks in, you come under the scope and you see all this beautiful hair beginning to grow. You think, I've got it. I'm doing it because I can.
Yeah.
So a question for you that I wanted to ask, because I'm just curious, is what's the biggest misconception when men visit you about the trichology process and regaining some hair that they've lost?
Well, they assume that they can't regain their hair, that if they've been to see a doctor will say, well, kind of get over it, there's nothing we can do for you. And that is the reality. I don't want to build up false hopes. If you have a higher stage of hair loss and you're an older person, getting it back could be quite difficult because the follicle has been dormant for so long. But it's not to say that it can't be done, but again, you'd have to commit time to it. And as it could be a year to 18 months before you saw any real benefit.
It's about being realistic, isn't it, really?
I think it's just important to get the point across to any men watching that you can actually go and do something. And there's no point writing something off completely without having any hope of it. When you can't see your own scalp, you don't know what's going on. I think it's always worth understanding something, gaining the knowledge, and then working out how to tackle the problem.
Yeah. And I think
that's exactly what
younger men, if they've got a family history it's really important to come and see me early on, because under the scope, we can see if that miniaturization has already begun. Even though you're not seeing it, we would be able to see it under the scope, which means we can empower you, give you the right products to start using now so that you don't follow the same pattern, that we can preserve your hair and rejuvenate it. And a lot of it is about preserving what you've got, even if we can't bring back what you've lost, even though you can't see it physically, we're only seeing it under the scope. It is early intervention will just give you a thicker head of hair for much, much longer.
Yeah, so really any viewers out there watching this evening, they really need to, if they think, or they've just got a little inkling in the back of their mind that they've got a little bit of a problem, or they might have a little bit of a problem a few years down the line, come and see you now and kind of knock it in the bud, really, isn't it?
I always say that, at the end of the day, all of us are washing our hair. So why not wash your hair with something that could actually prevent further hair loss or hair loss in the future, especially as a male and you've got male pattern baldness in your family? Start now. You're washing your hair anyway, so wash it with something that can prevent that DHT from attaching. Do it now. Yeah,
you've got nothing to lose, have you?
No.
Well, other than your hair. Other than your hair. Other than your hair. And on that point, I think that's a great time for us to wrap this up, because it's been amazing advice and really great to just understand how the prevention when you're younger is a key point to kickstart this process.
Yeah. Don't wait till you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s. Go there now, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, the earlier you start, the longer you'll have your head of hair. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time.
Lovely to see you again. Yeah, lovely to see you too, and I'll hopefully see some of your viewers in clinic at some point.
Hope so. Take care, Elizabeth. See you soon. Bye. Bye.
She's great, isn't she?
She's just she's lovely.
She's really so honest as well with all the information. I see there's a comment come in about that. I completely agree.
Yeah, she's just, you can talk to her completely open and honest with what she needs to do for you or what she can actually do for you. And she's just great. And I can listen to her for hours.
Yeah, I can. I find everything she has to say so interesting.
Really interesting, and she's very bubbly, but there's always a different angle that she looks at different things well.
I think it's very positive as well, and I think that's so important when you come to speak to somebody about issues like this.
Absolutely.
You can really go inward with stuff you feel insecure about. And if someone really brings you into a position of feeling comfortable and they're uplifting and positive, it's such a difference that can make.
Yeah, because I know we're kind of really, in this evening, we've kind of focused on men, haven't we?
Mm.
But you can come along, even if, any of you ladies are out there and your hair is beginning to get thin, or you've got some worries or anxieties about your hair loss. It doesn't exclude you either.
No.
There's men and ladies who we actually look after, and we're happy to see anybody and talk to all of you. But I think, talking to Elizabeth, she really does actually make you feel that you can go along and actually get some really good, helpful advice, isn't it? About the products that you might be able to use. And you use some of the Mediceutical products, didn't you?
I did, and I'm actually thinking of swapping. I'm gonna have a little consultation myself.
Oh, you want to go back again?
I want to go back again. I want to find out which one would be good for me, because I think for me personally, in my family, it's pattern baldness. It happens, and that's all there is to it. So, as Elizabeth said, why wash your hair with something that's not going to be beneficial to helping you keep your hair?
Absolutely.
So I'm in the market for a new shampoo.
Find the right product for you.
Yeah.
Because they do the different shampoos, but they also do the treatments as well. And if you're that kind of person who likes going in, having treatments in house, you can go into the salon and have your weekly treatments done or your fortnightly treatments done with them, however they set up the package for you, or you can actually do it at home.
Yeah.
And the products are lovely and they smell. really lovely as
They
well.
do. They really do. And they just feel luxurious, which is...
They do.
I'm all about that, the baths and everything. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah, that's you, isn't it?
So that's me
a nice
all over.
spa.
Yeah. But one of the interesting products that we actually have, and we've had this for a really long time as well.
Yeah. Long time, forever.
And it's something that I've not really come across that often. You see there's products like this on the market, but this one's absolutely perfect for if you're going through the Trichology step program, because you have thinning hair and you want to disguise it during the time where you're actually growing hair back or trying to
actually get some regrowth. Because what it is a trick of light, really, Bradley. When we're beginning to go thin, the light reflects onto our scalp and actually makes us look a lot thinner than we actually are.
Overhead lighting is the
worst things. Yeah,
even just having fine hair like mine, it's a nightmare.
I mean, I've got quite thick hair, as you know, but you can always, you can still always see your scalp.
Yeah.
And also with these sprays that I'm going to show you, a lot of us ladies do cheat, because once our roots begin to start coming through, and you can't really keep having your roots done every fortnight. You might have to wait a month or every 6 weeks to actually get into your salon. We would use it just to disguise our actual roots coming through as well.
That's genius.
So, for those ladies who want to have a bit of a quick disguise because they've got a meeting or something that they're going to, or, they've been invited out on a hot date and you don't want to go with your grey roots, then this product's absolutely brilliant.
Or if you're doing a webinar.
Or if you're doing a webinar, that's happened before.
I've seen you use it.
Yeah, you've seen me use it, haven't you? It's like, quick, a little bit of spray along the parting. And it works a treat. It's fantastic to use.
So you should probably show what the product is.
Absolutely, that's what I was going to do. So what we're talking about is, let me get you the right direction, is the Maine spray. It's something that has been on the market for many, many years. We've had it for an awful long time within Aderans Centre here and all of our other centres, and it is literally just a spray. It comes in a range of different colours. It doesn't dye the hair, it doesn't dye the scalp. It will actually shampoo back out again. If you are going to actually spray it onto your scalp to actually disguise where you're actually going thin, we always recommend that you use a little bit of spray afterwards, because it just fixes it into
place. Like a hairspray.
Right. So it just fixes it in, Bradley. So we would get you to actually do that. And a little tip is as well, if you've got it on and you don't wash it off before you go to bed, sleep on an old pillowcase, because it will actually rub off on your bedding. So don't sleep on your really nice, good bedding with it.
But the good thing about Maine is that it's actually made specifically for this type
is made for
use.
This.
Whereas there are other products which I've seen, which we won't name names, but they're high street brands we're all used to, and they do root cover-ups and thickening sprays and things that they just don't last. You'll have half of it down your face within a couple of hours.
They don't last. They flake off quite quickly.
They clump.
Or they get clumpy, and they feel actually when it's on, they actually start to feel quite greasy on the actual hair and on the actual scalp. Whereas this actually feels really quite natural when it's on. So what we've got just to demonstrate for you is, and I'll just stand up so you can see it a bit better. I've just got this piece that I've actually plucked some of the hair out of it just to actually make it look a little bit thinner. So you can literally see through the piece on to the actual scalp. Is that okay just there, Bradley?
I think so.
Yep, so you can see it's slightly thinner. And then if we take the spray and hold it about 6 inches away. Yeah. And you can actually just build up the actual colour. You can put a little bit on, and as you can see, that's actually taken that shine away completely. So it's just a very light spray, and as you can see now, you can't actually see through
it's made the world of
that at all. So it does make a huge difference. Again, if I just part that, you're going to see, that you can see straight through onto the actual scalp. But where we've actually sprayed it on, it just disguises where you're going thin. So it gives you that little bit of confidence, really. And I think that's what, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Something just to build up your confidence.
Yeah.
When you're wearing something, or if you're just a little bit thin, you can just, pop it onto the temples, along that top area, or round on your crown area.
And again, no one's going to know. It looks really natural.
Nobody's going to know. And some people, and we've had clients coming in here buying this for numbers of years from us. I used to work on our retail sector, and we still get the same clients coming through, and they're still buying the same products because it's still working for them. And they haven't quite got to that stage yet where they actually need to wear a hairpiece or anything else.
No, exactly.
Which is really, really good.
So if you're interested in this product, or you'd like to give it a go, head over to our website, which you can find, Jane, if you just point down. There we go. Yay. Well done. If you find it just down there on trenco.co.uk, just go into the products, aftercare and accessories section. Let us know what you think. We'd be keen to know.
Yeah.
We love seeing how
let us have, I mean, feedback from all of you is always really, really great. So give us your feedback, because we love feedback on anything we actually do, or, if there's any new topics you want us to actually cover with you, if there's anything in particular you think, actually, can we get Jane and Bradley talking about that, or doing something, then we're happy to have a go at anything, can't we?
Exactly.
And talk about anything as well.
And just before we go
we don't mind at all.
Jane's going to just show us very quickly what a hairpiece actually looks like for a man, because we've talked about it throughout the evening tonight, but there's probably some viewers out there that don't really know what
it would actually look like. And I think some people are actually, they have it set in their mind that it's quite thick bases.
Like a toupee.
It's going to be really uncomfortable. But you can get things, as fine as this. This is just all over lace. It's got a little bit of give. And that could actually be bonded on, so glued down to your actual head. And that's going to actually be really invisible when it's on as well. So you can part your hair and do anything you want with it. So some of the pieces that are available now are just absolutely incredible. Or you've got ones that are made on all over a skin membrane. So a polyurethane base that you can see is this. And if I just take it off its cover, easier said than done, but it's stuck down.
Because they're incredibly sticky.
And you can actually see it's just a really, really thin skin. And when these are actually bespoke or custom made for you, we can actually change the colour of the skin as well.
Oh, wow.
So, if you've got really dark skin, we can change it and change the exact colour that you actually want. We can add lace fronts to it and do everything you want. And with these, you can swim in them, sleep in them. You can carry on your everyday normal life, and nobody's going to know that you're actually wearing a piece at all.
It's pretty ideal. I mean, I've seen some great videos of men jumping into swimming pools wearing their piece.
Excellent ones.
Coming out of the water and it's still there in all its glory. And
it will. People just carry on living their lives as normal. I mean, I've had gents in the past who I've looked after when I was working in our salons, and some of them used to do diving, but snorkeling and diving, and just carry on with their lives as normal.
Brilliant.
And that's what you want to be able to
do.
You don't want your hair loss to affect anything that you're actually doing at all.
And it doesn't have to.
It shouldn't have to. Not at all. No. If you find the right solution, it's not going to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, I think that's it from us tonight, Jane. It's been really, really, really fascinating. I always love it when we can talk about the men's stuff from a selfish point of view. I can relate to it a little bit more.
You can relate to it,
it's nice for me to learn.
I think it's quite interesting, though, really.
It is really interesting.
And we're going to see a lot more of men, and we're going to be a lot more focused in 2022 on men, in men's hair replacement and all the different options that you've actually got. So it's going to be a really big topic for us in 2022. So you're going to hear us talking a lot more about it, and you're going to see a really fantastic video soon.
No, we have a really great campaign on the way, which you need to keep your eyes peeled out. You're going to be seeing it everywhere. It's going to be really big, really great. Really excited about it.
Yeah,
and it's nice to be doing really something for the boys, you know.
It is,
because we do so much, I think, for women.
So much for ladies.
Yeah, it's really nice to be doing that.
Yeah,
and it's exciting. It feels quite new.
It does feel new, actually, even though we've been doing men's for a long time. I think because men's hair replacement has changed so much over the years that it is a really exciting thing now for us to actually do. The pieces that are available, the different materials that they're made from. You know, when we look at, you know, we're not using human hair, but you're using cyber hair and V hair, which is the closest imitation you get to your own growing hair. So all things like that are just exciting. Yeah, great new products.
Stay tuned. Keep your eyes peeled. Watch us every week if you can. We do love it.
Yeah, we do.
We'll be back in 2 weeks' time talking about the new high fashion collection, which is launching next Tuesday.
Yeah, new colours.
So that's exciting too.
New wigs. Yeah, some really nice ones actually. So great.
Really lovely.
One of the new colours is just to die for.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions about anything you've seen tonight, do let us know. If you'd like to book in at the Hair Centre, you can email. It's below me this time.
It's below you, is it?
Or call us here.
Yep.
Or check out the website, which is below Jane, the aderanshaircentre.co.uk.
It's a really good website, isn't it?
It is. Very helpful, very informative.
Yeah.
And we hope to see you soon.
See you in 2 weeks' time. Take care,